Well, tomorrow is the big day, WWDC 2019. Now, as you guys know, I do like to do my final thoughts and predictions for WWDC 2019, but this year I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm just going to focus on the most anticipated parts of the show, but also address a few things. So please bear in mind, this will be heavily favored in iOS. I'm just disclaiming it now, but just know that because this video is going to be a little long, so bear with me on it. With that said, let's get going.
Get lost, get faded, get high off the love we're making. Go home and just late night. I do anything to feel alright.
Hey, what is up everybody? Michael here, welcome back to Technoid. And guys, like I said in the beginning of this video, WWDC 2019 is finally upon us. And you know something? I'm a little less excited than I was last year, but I still am no doubt excited to see what Apple is going to do to answer back to everything that's been going on with the community of tech, with Android Q and all that crap. But before we start the predictions, I just want to say a couple of things. So thanks to you guys subscribing and thanks to you guys for constantly watching my videos. I am proud to announce that I've been able to raise enough money to get some new props and stuff to help make the show better. First being an external microphone, so you'll have better audio and also better clarity so you don't hear outside noises, you'll be only hearing me. That's one. And number two, I will also be purchasing a green screen, which I will be using in all my videos to give an effect so you don't have to just see this. So hopefully you'll be here by the first week of June and we will start these progresses. So I want to say thank you guys for subscribing, thank you for watching my videos, for helping me to improve, to give you better quality videos. Enough about that, let's go right into WWDC. So tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. in New York, they will have WWDC, and we are going to find out what Apple products are going to get software. We are going to find out the new software, and we are also going to possibly get a hint at maybe just one piece of technology. I will explain later. So let's focus on the big main elephant in the show, iOS 13. Now, iOS 13 is going to be a very, very big update for not just the iPhone, but for the iPad. Now, I did make previous videos talking about how it will be a substantially bigger update to the iPad because it will try to make it more like a computer or a laptop type. Because the market is showing that people aren't trying to buy, laptops as much. Because let's be real here, Apple MacBooks are ridiculously overpriced. No offense, I use a MacBook, I'm just glad I got it as a gift, otherwise I would never waste my own money on it, but I am very appreciative of it and it does a great job. I think that it is overpriced, so that's why tablets are becoming the new laptops in today's day and age. But of course, tablets are missing those things. So let's start with the iPad and talk about what we can expect. The first thing we can definitely expect is a redesign. If Apple is going to make the iPad more like a computer, they're going to have to redesign the home screen. They're going to have to redesign the whole base of iOS 13 for the iPad. Because iOS is just an iPhone update for an iPad. So you're going to want to try to bring elements from macOS onto the iPad specifically. Now, everyone has always raised the argument to just put macOS on a tablet, but of course, Apple does not want to do that. And they have their reasons, so for that we are stuck with iOS on a tablet, which is not terrible if you consider, but I really couldn't come up with a reason there. But first thing, they have to do a redesign. I think we will see that. Another thing I think we are going to see is more use for the Pro. Now, if you do notice, even though all iPads will get this update, I think the focus is going to be on the Pro because of one thing, that USB Type-C feature. Now, because it has USB Type-C, not only can it use and sync with a MacBook, but now it opens up the doors for possibilities, and which is leading into the biggest rumor that people have been talking about, is using as an external display. So you can now use your iPad as a MacBook or a Mac whatever. But there's two sides to this, and the first side, I'm not kind of crazy for that because first of all, if you're going to just want to use Mac on it with Apple Pencil and everything, you may as well just keep the iPad and just use that, or even better, just get a MacBook. I mean, no offense. And number two, I don't see people going out buying an iPad just to use as a monitor unless you own the two. I don't see you going out buying a MacBook and buying an iPad Pro to use them together. It's either one or the other. That's the average consumer. They're not going to pay for two things if you only need one thing to get the job done unless there is a specific want. Now, in terms of that external keyboard or whatever, external display. I'm sorry guys, I'm a little tired. But thankfully, like I said before, it will support Apple Pencil. So that is going to be the closest you are going to get to a touchscreen Mac as we are ever going to see, because it looks like Apple just really will not do that. Now, on top of that, Safari will hopefully be getting, this is something I hope, they will be getting a desktop-like web browser. So you can download and instantly pull from the files. You can use external hard drives, possibly with that help, making it so that's really all I can think of with the iPad Pro, and also some redesigned apps, which we will talk about in the whole of iOS 13, not just for the iPad, but also goes for the iPhone. I'm leaving the iPhone out for a reason. And lastly, the thing that I would hope for the iPad Pro, this is a personal thing I want, maybe some support for Bluetooth keyboards and Bluetooth mouse. Now look, it does support regular Bluetooth keyboards, but when it comes to Apple products, like making it better with an external mouse, that would be very interesting, because now you can argue that the tablet can now work as a computer. You can now use a mouse and a keyboard, but on top of that, if you give it that monitor access with a Type-C. Oh, and that's another thing. I really hope, because the iPad Pro can be used as a monitor, I hope they fully adapt it to making it more modernized. For what I mean is that you can basically just use it as a computer like DeX, Samsung DeX. I hope they optimize it for monitors, because the general one is just way too small. But with that said though, adding the mouse support will now make it even more bigger. So those are my things, and I hope for the iPad and iOS 13, and some that we may be seeing. Now to the iPhone, let's be honest here, the one thing I think everybody wants is dark mode. So there's no denying it, Apple is gonna put it in, there's no question about it. Dark mode is coming. And also in iOS 13 for the iPhone is more emphasis on a design. Now, a lot of people have been saying that iOS 13 is going to be that refreshed design to give the iPhone a little more life. That is true and false. The reason I say that is because they are going to redesign things, but they're not going to redesign the whole iPhone home screen like they're doing for the iPad. It'll probably still stay the same. I don't expect any major changes, maybe a few icon tweaks here and there, and probably a few interface differences, but we're not going to really get that whole revamp, refresh feeling of a brand new interface or iOS look, if that's what you're assuming, because it's just not being supported with all the leaks and rumors. So I really would like to see that happen, but I don't think that's going to be the case. However, though, in terms of your iPhone, it may possibly, now this is just a possibility, I'm emphasizing possibly, but with that A12 chip, you might have multitasking on the iPhone. Now, the reason I said this is a strong possibility is because it's probably not going to happen. But with the A12 proving to be a powerful CPU, it can do the heavy lifting. So being able to use the XS Max, the XS, or even optimize for your other phones, excluding maybe a few, you can maybe, put these devices and use them like what Samsung's done, and even other Androids. The point is, the iPhone has the power, it just needs to be unlocked. And I really think that's what they need to do. And also, up on the screen, you're also seeing renders and leaks and stuff that were supposedly leaked out that shows what iOS 13 will look like with dark mode. And lastly, for the iPhone, we do notice that it is going to be, I guess you can say, a hint into the next iPhone. So what I hope that they do is they support in some way, shape, or form. They try to do, this is just a wild card, but they do support new memes of biometrics. Now, what do I mean by biometrics? Just regular stuff. And more faster Face ID, but of course showing that there may be more improved stuff coming. I know it sounds a wild card, so that's why I'm putting it under the wild card. But honestly, that's all I can think of. The biggest thing that everybody wants is dark mode. So that's iOS 13. And before we move on to Mac and other things, let's just couple down for both things. They are going to be getting rid of iTunes, not just on iOS, but on macOS, which we will discuss later. They are going to, I believe, redesign the Find My iPhone, Find My Friends to make it just Find My app all into one, and a redesigned Reminder app and possibly Calendars app. So there are going to be some redesigns, but just not maybe the interface or the screen. But still, that is iOS 13 in my opinion. Not as big as I wanted, but you know something? It is what it is. Now let's move on to macOS. Now, macOS we're not going to focus too heavy on, but the one thing I want to talk about is what are they going to do with it? macOS 10.15. Well, if you ask me, I really don't know. And there's not a lot of news and buzz about macOS, and for good reason, because it's just a desktop. There's really not much they need to fix. Although I would like them to fix, a few things here and there. I really can't say much. The only thing I will say, if they're going to separate every iTunes app and make everything separate, they're going to put Apple TV app on there, they're going to have a dedicated Apple Music, they'll have a dedicated podcast, and possibly something else. Forgot what it was. But the point is, they're getting rid of iTunes. It is a shame to say goodbye to iTunes, but look at what the market is becoming. Their streaming services is picking up, and people just don't buy the music anymore, so it makes sense. But also space it out, make it less strain on just one application. And also, there may be some more apps coming to macOS from iOS, also helping out with that whole, we're bringing some things over to the Mac and Mac over to the iOS, so that will be in the case, but that's really all I can say about macOS. Now, watchOS 6, there is a little bit of buzz, maybe some new redesigned watch interfaces, or new home screens and new faces, but also maybe a dedicated app store. These are just things I would like to see. But watchOS 6 is going to be very big for the Apple Watch Series 4, not so much the Series 3. So Series 4 will probably get that bigger impact because of the bigger screen. But I would like them to definitely keep rolling out support for their health devices, new health features, and I really, really do hope we get that app store for the Apple Watch so you can download more faces and other things instead of just having to use it through your iPhone. Then we get to tvOS, and I really don't think there's really going to be much. I'm just being honest. Sorry. And last up, I believe that's about it, actually. Wow. So you got tvOS, iOS, macOS, and watchOS. So yeah, that's really it for WWDC. Now, before we end this video, a couple of things. Apple's home accessories and stuff with HomePod. There's been a lot of silence about that, and there's a good reason, because nobody's adapting to it. So if they do take the time to talk about their home accessory and their smart home for Apple, there is a rumor that Ring, the doorbell, that smart doorbell, is going to partner with Apple. If that goes through, that is a big step forward for Apple, and they should talk about that if they are going to do that. Another thing I need to mention, please, guys, I think I'm the only one saying this. Please set your expectations low. That's the name of the game. If you keep pumping up yourself for WWDC, you keep pumping yourself up for events, and then you get disappointed, that's on you. So my advice, please set your expectations to low so when they unveil this stuff, you don't feel disappointed. Because 2 years in a row, I've done that many times, and I ended up not feeling disappointed because I just didn't have too much excitement for it. Although there are too few exceptions. And also, last thing, do not expect hardware. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but if there is going to be just one piece, if I had to pick just one, it would have to be the modular Mac Pro, because WWDC is for developers. Those are software engineers and hardware engineers. So that's the Worldwide Developers Conference. So showing off the modular Mac Pro will enable developers to get their hands on it, to look at it and see what they've got to work with. So that would be the best place to debut it, but of course we don't even know. Although we do know they are working on it, I would like to see it happen then, but that's just a wild card. That's the only thing I would give an exception to if they had to show just one piece of hardware. And that's it for WWDC 2019. So that is my prediction video. I really hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. Oh man, excuse me guys, man, I'm a mess today. But I really hope you guys are understanding where I'm coming from. Please definitely set your expectations to low. And remember, if you can't watch the live stream, I will be doing a follow-up immediately after WWDC. I'll probably just do a live stream straight on my computer talking about the event, and I'll leave it out there, or I'll just film it. I really don't care. But that's really going to do it. So thank you guys for watching. And if you do want to check out WWDC, you can watch it on Twitter, Apple's website, or the WWDC app on iOS. Or if you're on Android, good luck to you. But there's probably other ways you can get it. Or you just do what I said. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching, guys. I am a little drowsy, you can tell by my sound, but I had to make the video just for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and get ready, guys, because after WWDC, after all this stuff, we're going to get some new equipment, we're going to grow, and thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for keep subscribing and keep watching. So that's going to do it. Thanks for watching Technoid, and peace.
falling.